So what do you get when you cross the Divas title, a passport, a Lucha Libre mask, and a homeless guy? My name is Tony Chacon, this is Couch Potato Lucha Libre, and it's time for a Lucha Libre history lesson. So in case you didn't figure it out, which you definitely should have because all of my riddles are just the subjects of my videos, this Lucha Libre history lesson is about the man of 1,000 masks, Mil Mascaras. I know, the homeless guy throws people off. Don't worry, we'll get to that. Aaron Rodriguez Arellano was born in San Luis Potosí, Mexico on July 15th, 1942. The first interesting thing about him is that even though he's never lost his mask, he's actually credited by his real name in his movies, so his name is actually public record. Who knew? He's a member of a wrestling family starting with him and his brother Dos Caras and his brother Psicodélico. They in turn have a third generation of El Hijo de Dos Caras, Psicodélico Jr., Hijo de Psicodélico, and Dos Caras Jr. You know, Alberto del Rio. Ugh. Family ties aside, Mil Mascaras is known for a couple of things. First thing, he was basically the first heavyweight to make it in Lucha Libre. He's listed at about 5'11", between 230 and 250 pounds. For reference, he's about the size of the British Bulldog, a little bit slimmed down. Which in Mexican wrestling kind of makes you weird unless you're Electroshock or Gronda, who are both big dudes. This served Mil Mascaras though, because he was bigger than other luchadors. He'd break into international territories where some people thought that just wasn't possible. Wrestling in both the United States and Japan, even when he hit Tokyo Sports Match of the Year award with Jumbo Tsuruta. Again, I learned as much as you guys do in this. This being the case though, he is somehow always the face, especially with his arrays of moves and counters, and introducing high-flying moves to places like Japan. There are a lot of people who say there's no Ultimo Dragon or Jushin Liger without Mil Mascaras. I'm hard-pressed to disagree. As much as he's a solid heavyweight though, he moved like a luchador, which made him a very interesting commodity because he could make a living as a high flyer outside of Mexico, where he was a mat-based power wrestler in his native land. Surely he would use this power for good to help other young and hungry wrestlers get over. Don't worry, we'll get to that. We need to talk about the movie before we talk about the people he feuded with. This was an original production by Luis Enrique Vergara. That's a name you're going to hear a lot in Lucha Libre film. Because, well, he's the father of the genre. What are you going to do? He was in a bind when El Santo and Blue Demon, who were his two major stars, couldn't appear in his movies due to a contract dispute and an injury. In that order. The film, titled Mil Mascaras, and I mean this in all sincerity, is the Mexican Superman story. No, wrong Mexican Superman. We're getting closer, but still no. You know what? Close enough. We're gonna not deal with this. This movie, if you haven't seen it, it's really worth it, if only to see what a no-budget movie made in Mexico in 1966 looks like. And what the Superman origin story does to a Mexican wrestler. A guy who's supposed to be a hero and do good for himself and others. Don't worry, we'll get to that. Anyway, Mil was one of those guys who was very much right place, right time in wrestling. You know, your Austin 316, your Triple H being with the Clique, your Hulk Hogan being Hulk Hogan and starring in Rocky 3. But he took on guys like Big Cat Ernie Ladd, like the Golden Greek, John Tolos in the US. And maybe his most famous feud was up against the Destroyer in Japan. He managed to compete as the first mass wrestler in Madison Square Garden. Well, it was against the Spoiler, who couldn't wear his mask, because actually there's a New York State law that's still technically on the books that prohibits it. He was the first one to move past the rule. Or break it. Something. Either way, as I was shocked to learn, Mil was at one point in the 1970s feuding with superstar Billy Graham over the then WWF Championship. I learned just as much as you guys in these videos. Of course, Billy Graham doesn't have anything nice to say about him, but Billy Graham also doesn't exactly have anything nice to say about anybody else either. During the 70s and 80s, what you'd get is Mil Mascaras roaming and being part of UWA in Mexico, even losing the UWA title in its original match to Luthez by draw. Also during the 70s, we would meet the Lex Luthor to his Clark Kent, the Joker to his Batman, the Sinestro to his Green Lantern, the Captain Cold to his Flash. Maybe that last one doesn't work. But anyway, it's Canek. El Guerrero Maya was just built to take on Canek. And this rivalry floated around for years. These guys had a match as recently as 2009. I don't know about you, but for a guy that started wrestling in the mid-60s, it's not bad for Mil Mascaras to have that kind of rivalry. They weren't just rivals, though. They were also tag team partners. You know, much in the vein of how El Santo and Blue Demon teamed up. They were an unstoppable tag team that never won tag team titles for some reason. But, you know, if you want it to be a little more contemporary, it's kind of the one-upsmanship, how the bar was formed. Now, I will tell you this. He started winding down his career towards the end of the 80s and towards the early 90s. He made a bunch of little pit stops along the way, including WCW's Clash of the Champions 10 Texas Shootout, where he went against Cactus Jack Manson. You know, Mick Foley. Now, I will tell you this. According to his book, To Have a Nice Day, Mick Foley says he's really unhappy with this match. I just couldn't figure out why.
Oh, God! Right on the concrete! Oh, no. Right on the back of his head on the concrete!
No. Cactus Jack is dead!
Un momento, por favor. Dear Real Mick Foley, I am very sorry for questioning why you didn't like your match with Mil Mascaras. I get it now. I owe you a soda if we ever meet. Hashtag Cactus Jack Manson. Tweet. Where do we go from here?
Upstairs.
Oh, right. Okay, so this would not be the last time we see him on American pay-per-view, though. Yeah, we're finally getting to that. During a talent exchange with AAA in 1996 and 97, 4 men from the Mexican company competed in the annual Royal Rumble match. This was in San Antonio, so this made a lot of sense. They were a couple hours from the border. There's a big Latino community. It should have just kind of gone off without a hitch. Cibernetico, Latin Lover, Pierrot, and of course, Mil Mascaras all got involved in the match. As far as our subject boy goes, he lasted 7 minutes, which, alright. He got 2 eliminations, both against his countrymen. That would be Cibernetico and Pierrot, if I'm not mistaken. I'll correct that in editing. But, committed one of the absolute dumbest moves in Royal Rumble history. Let's break this down. He knocked somebody over the top rope, went out between the second and third rope, climbed to the top and jumped off and thought he wasn't eliminated. That's not how the Royal Rumble works. Anybody can eliminate you. You included. Now, if you've heard the no job line in reference to Mil Mascaras, this is it. Not only did Pierrot and Cibernetico get the distinct honor of being eliminated by Mil Mascaras, Pierrot got the pleasure of being in the crash pad when Mil Mascaras flew off the top rope. He'd later say he didn't know he could be eliminated this way, which is, obviously the absolute truth. Either way, he's gone into semi-retirement and he's been making movies. I haven't seen any of the newer movies, but let's be honest, kind of want to. Maybe we'll get to those at some point during this channel's lifespan. So is the man of 1,000 masks, La Leyenda Viviente, Mil Mascaras. Is he the greatest wrestler to ever come out of Mexico? No, not by a long shot. But I don't know that he makes top 5 if I really think about it hard enough. What he did do was protect kayfabe at a time when it was really going down the tubes. To this day, I don't actually know what the man looks like, and I don't have any pictures to show you of his face. I wouldn't doubt it if he's going to pull a Santo where he puts his mask off for the first time in public on TV during an interview and then dies a week later. I mean, if he's going to yob to anybody, it's going to be death, and it's not going to be a clean yob anyway. I'll see you guys next time. This has been Couch Potato Lucha Libre, and I hope you enjoyed the history lesson. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in for this Lucha Libre history lesson on Mil Mascaras. I want to thank you guys so much for your support. I know I've missed a couple of weeks. I had a couple of videos that just kind of had fate intervene. Don't worry though, next week we are tackling Pete Rose's WrestleMania staple. So stay tuned for that. Until then, I'm Tony Chacon. This is Couch Potato Lucha Libre. Take care of each other.